Hello guys, welcome back to US Healthcare Academy. In our last video, we learned about Loop 1000A and Loop 1000B. Today, we are going to learn about Loop 2000A, Loop 2010AA, which contains the billing provider's information. So let's jump right into it. So guys, before we jump into each and every element of the billing provider, I want you guys to understand what a billing provider is. So basically, when you go to a hospital, let's suppose you go to St. Mary's Hospital, and there you have been seen by Dr. Jay Chaudhary. So in this case, even though Dr. Jay Chaudhary is treating you, Dr. Jay Chaudhary will be a rendering provider. But the entity who you're going to pay to, who's going to bill you, or who's going to receive the reimbursement for the services that you are receiving in the hospital is St. Mary's Hospital, and hence St. Mary's Hospital will be the billing provider in this case. So hope that's clear. So let's see what all information goes into the billing provider loop. So the billing provider loop starts with 2000A and segment HL. Guys, I am intentionally going to skip this segment for now. The reason is because I don't think this is the right time for you to learn about this segment, and we will definitely go through it once I think you're in a position to understand the information that goes in loop 2000A. So today we are going to start with loop 2000A segment PRV. So what is segment PRV? So segment PRV is the provider's specialty information. Okay, so let's see what is element 1. So element 1 of the PRV segment is provider code, and in this case BI means billing provider. Segment 2 of the PRV segment is element 2 of the PRV segment is PXC, and PXC means healthcare provider taxonomy code. Now see guys, this is called as reference identification qualifier. So this is just a qualifier to show what is the value that is following this qualifier. So right after element 2, what is the value that is going to go in element 3 is what the element 2 is telling us about. So it tells that PXC, which means healthcare provider taxonomy code. So here this is nothing but this is the taxonomy code. Now guys, let me tell you what a taxonomy code is. So taxonomy code is nothing but it tells about the provider's specialty. So like cardiologist, neurologist, family medicine, sports medicine. So all these are specialties. And if you want to see what all codes are there, then you can visit this website, National Uniform Claim Committee. And this is the current version of the healthcare provider taxonomy codes. I've already downloaded it, so let me take you through it. So these are all different taxonomy codes, and here is the grouping. So example, this taxonomy code is for allopathic and osteopathic physicians, and it is for allergy and immunology, and the specialization is here. So let me take you through an example here. So family medicine. So this is the taxonomy code, and it says that the specialty is addiction medicine. This is the taxonomy code which comes under the group of allopathic and osteopathic physicians, but the specialization is adolescent medicine. So guys, you can download this and go through different taxonomy codes, but understand taxonomy code is something that represents the specialty of that physician, or for even for that matter the specialty of that group. So taxonomy codes are of two types. One is the group taxonomy code, one is the individual taxonomy codes. So if there is a hospital which specializes in cancer, even they will have a taxonomy code, and different types of cancers will also have different taxonomy codes. So taxonomy code is the specialty. Okay. Now loop 2010 AA. So loop 2010 AA starts with the NM1 segment, and we have already seen this segment when we were learning about loop 1000A, loop 1000B for the submitter and receiver information. And if you see, the segment has the same element and the meaning is the same. And I told you in my last video that different entities like billing provider, rendering provider, supervising provider, subscriber, patient will have an NM1 segment, and basic information, their name, their unique identification code, their entity type qualifier, their entity identifier code. So let's go through it. So entity identifier code is the first element of the of loop 2010 AA, and it has value of 85. 85 means that this is the billing provider's information. Now after 85, the second element tells us about the entity type qualifier, which is 2. That means that this billing provider is a organization or institution. It's not some individual, because there is a code 2, which is non-person. And if it would have been 1, then this would have been some person. Example, let's take my example. So Jayesh Chaudhary is the billing provider. So here it will have my last name, which is Chaudhary, and then in the fourth element it will have my first name. But as of now, this element is blank because this provider, this billing provider, is an institution or an organization and not an individual. So NM104 has the first name, 5 middle name or initial. NM106 has the name prefix if applicable. NM107 has the name suffix if applicable. Now the important one is the NM108, which is the identification code qualifier. So what is the unique identifier that goes in the segment NM109? So this eighth element tells us about what is the code in the ninth element. So in this case, it is XX, and XX means National Provider Identifier. In our previous examples, we saw that it was 46, which is for Eaton, and in this case, it is XX for National Provider Identifier. So hope guys, this NM1 segment of Loop 2010A is clear to you. Just to repeat, 85 means billing provider, 2 means non-person, ABC group practice is the name of the billing provider, XX means that the value in the element that follows this eighth element is going to be a national provider identifier. And national provider identifier is nothing but it's a unique 10-digit number assigned to providers, and they're uniquely identified by that number. Loop 2010 AA and N3 segment. N3 segment always is about the first line of address. So N3 first and the second line of address. So N3 first element will be the first line of address, and the second element, if applicable, it will be the second line of address. But if you see, this is situational, not required. So the only required field is the first element of the N3 segment, which is the first line of address. And N4 segment is reserved for city, state, and zip code. So the first element of the N4 segment will be city. So here it is Kansas City. The second element will be state or province code. So in this case, it is Missouri, MO. And third element of the N4 segment will be the zip code. And this has to be the 9-digit zip code. I think this file, I generated it long back, and that's the reason it just has 5-digit zip code, but it is mandatory that it has a 9-digit zip code. All right. So last segment, which is the REF segment of the 2010 AA element, this is for any secondary identifier. So basically, The primary identifier of the billing provider is the NPI, which is the National Provider Identifier. But in the 2010A REF segment, there is the secondary identifier. So the first element tells us about, it is again a reference identification qualifier. So same like XX is for NPI, 40 is for receiver, 41 is for submitter. So in this case, it is EI. EI means employer identification number. And if this was SY, then it means that this number is the social security number. So guys, I hope that Loop 2010 AA and the information that goes in Loop 2010 AA is clear to all of you. Stay tuned for my next video. Until then, you guys take care. Have a good day. Bye bye.